Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeneth Blackert, and I'm the host of the Creator Mastermind Haven. And today's guest is Kenji Kumara. And it is an honor and a joy to be just opening up our hearts. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeneth Blackert. Mute that. and I thank you guys for being here and being present on this holiday. So please just join me in welcoming this energy. Now I can feel the energy flowing. Then it might just be my heart racing because I'm so excited today. I have been having conversations with Kenji for the past 12 years. And every single time we have a conversation, the earth moves in quite a quantum way. And we go to places and it's just truly a joy. I feel like he's a huge part in my own personal awakening. He's truly the bridge for those of us that are really working on resiliency, working on awakening, and awakening to allowance of consciousness while following our heart. I'm like jumping over words. He's a messenger of the new earth. He was one of my first speakers that really informed me on how we're having this galactic shift and how we're moving into this new earth. And he was so clear and concise, and he's a channel, clearly a channel holder. And I'm just honored to have him here and have him have become a friend over the years. One of the things that he often will talk about is that he's a light weaver, not a light worker. And I always thought, what a beautiful word for what we do as galactic shifters, so to speak. So Kenji, it's an honor to have you. Finally got all the technology rolling so that we can have this quantum shift together. Welcome, Kenji.
Blessings, dear one. It's so great to be with you
and
your audience. And,
Kenji, it's an honor. Hold on just a second. I have to do one technology thing that I just didn't realize because of I hope that I don't do something weird. Just a second. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I think I'm okay. All right. I had my YouTube open.
Okay.
Learning.
It's wonderful to be with you again, Jeneth. As always, you've been one of my favorite show hosts. And I remember back in the day, you were in my top 3 shows that I began to get on way back when, thanks to Sheila Gale and Maureen Moss also. And I always loved doing your show, and we always had great responses in the chat box, and so I always remember that. So it was always a joy to do your shows and everything.
Thank you.
We have to remind people now that the energies are starting to flow. So if you are feeling starting to feel a shift in a way, that is because the guides are here now, and they will be working with you throughout this call and into the rest of your day, into your dream time tonight.
Thank you. This show is especially about receiving. I didn't realize that we were doing a show on receiving until I had taken a minute to dive into some of the blessing work that Kenji has put together. And I really realized that it's this art of receiving and really becoming a vessel to receive even more and even greater. And I think that when I realized that, it just kind of opened my heart in such a deep way. And I really became a part of this blessing. And I don't know what to say, Kenji. It was just so beautiful. It was like being held, like a child, and really going into the depths of who I was, and taking out those constructs that really keeps me personally from really being able to be free in all ways. And I'm assuming that was the intention of it. Can you talk a little more about receiving, and especially when it becomes to receiving a blessing?
Let's put it into the context of historical conditioning, cultural conditioning, religious conditioning, and even metaphysical conditioning in a way.
Mm.
Okay, point number one, we were never taught and educated how to receive. We are taught how to do, right? And to make life work and to be successful and hard work and all of that stuff. There was never really any mention in the marketplace of how to receive in a way that is how should I say, part of your natural nature, part of your nature. See, our nature, we were cosmically born to receive the gifts of heaven, so to speak. Somewhere the teachings got lost and never taught. So we are reintroducing an ancient, how should I say, truth that part of who we are has to do with how we receive. But here's the thing. Here's point number two. We have a lot of unconscious resistance to receiving, whether it's due to low self-esteem or that we were taught not to receive, just to be givers. Like healers are supposed to be givers and not receivers, caregivers, caretakers, world servants, so to speak, right? Nuns, monks, all that. So in order to actually manifest, we have to receive, because it's like a two-lane highway, right? Receiving and giving. And point three is about integration and how we can integrate. And see, what comes with this natural flow of receiving is this, how should I say? See, we teach the way to integrate is not through processing an experience or a download or anything like that. It's basically moving into that space of literally allowing the integration to take place, because that energy knows how to do that, as opposed to our minds, in a sense, our brains. And I think point four is the re-education of all of that, of how to be a clear and perfect channel for your essence. And your essence cannot be defined, although we try to define it and label it and categorize it, right? Like your I am presence, your monad, your rainbow light body, different names for that. But when you have the experience in the oneness, you really don't have any words. And that's why a lot of people, when they come out of activations, they don't share, because they aren't finding the words to describe their experience. So they just kind of sit there. So if you're like that at the end of the show, okay, that's kind of normal. It's pretty hard in a way to have the language to express this quantum reality that we're moving into. And I don't know if we'll ever find exact language for that. I mean, science and quantum theory are attempting to do that. But, you know, in the end, when we, how shall I say, when we're in that place of right on the edge, the cusp of an enlightenment experience or an awakening experience, it's at that point where you will surrender to everything that you know, that's knowledge-wise, and who you are, all the labels. And then you kind of, how should I say, figuratively pop into this place of this state that's pretty difficult to describe. But obviously you can feel it and your body can experience it. And that's what we try to teach, is how now to live in that energy in the marketplace in everyday life without shutting down and without being overwhelmed. Wow. Didn't know we were going to say that.
Wow, that was awesome. Well said. One of the things that brought up while you're talking about it was we have these innate abilities that we are born with, that we just know that we know. And, I know you've talked many times on my show about you, when you were just 4 or 5 years old, you just knew that you were more than just Japanese. And this still comes back to how we've lost some of those innate skills. And clearly receiving is one of them. So I'd like to ask you, with that, what is it that how can we re-aliven some of these innate skills again?
It goes back to, if you reflect back, not so much think back, but reflect back to your childhood when you were 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, before you became formalized in education in the church. You knew, you had an awareness of certain things, but you dare not share it with anybody because you didn't have the language for it. And you most likely believe that your parents and adults in your world would not understand and think you're a little cuckoo, right? So imagine this, that where we came from, since we're starseeds. So where we came from, and in those civilizations that we grew and learned and developed our skills, it could be everything from reading Akashic records to any manner of healing, to ambassadorship, to the arts, to education, to really whatever field that civilization is learning how to do as a collective consciousness. So as an example, the Arcturians are very proficient in the healing arts, not only technology-wise, but energetically wise as well. So using that as an example, so those of you that are starseeds from Arcturus came here, and as you were growing up, you probably knew on some level that you wanted to do healings because that was part of your nature, but you didn't have like the concepts and the languaging to describe it and express it. So you kind of held it in and kind of made it your secret. So I think we all have these secrets from early childhood regarding our gifts, our abilities of expression, whether it be ambassadorship or well, another one is the connection with nature. So there are starseed civilizations that are learning, have learned how to communicate with nature, as we'll return nature, like on this planet. And so we did have these inclinations regarding nature, right? Like I love talking with rocks and trees and fairies and seeing beings that aren't there to most people, talking to dead people that are passing through the zone, things like that. So now we're opening up to the whole knowing that we can use these gifts and we won't be punished or criticized for them as we were in the past. It just seems like there's this particular pattern here on Earth, right, of teachers coming in and being crucified, so to speak, in many different ways. So that's not going to happen really anymore. So we can feel free to begin to come out and express our gift. So one of the things we teach is, so if you have an idea, if you have a passion to do something that you've never been trained in, you declare to the universe that you're ready to begin to express it, and you call forth to the team, your team, to come and help you, whether it's your business team, whether it's your marketing team, whether it's your networking people. You don't have to do it by yourself. That's obvious, right? We have to work with the team. So in meditation, when we call in our team to help us, they will eventually show up. Now, it may take years, it may take months, it may take a few weeks. They may show up starting tomorrow, but always in divine right timing is what we teach, because we don't want to force anything. So evolution can't be forced. It's a natural thing. Well, I better stop there. We're also
Well, I think it's just important to say, like, if you have a desire for something, there's a reason for that desire. Yeah, that is the way that you're being guided.
yes.
That's the first thing that I think is important to be said. And I think the second thing that was important to be said from what you just spoke about was it doesn't really matter where you're a star seed from. Like, you don't need that identity. It's just another awareness. And it can help you. And I think with too many definitions around it, it can also limit you. So I just wanted to put that out there. Moving back into the blessings, and it's almost as if you do this with a lot of different dimensions, and you communicate from a lot of different spaces and dimensions. Do you want to talk a little bit about the kind of quantum part of the light weaving work that you do?
Okay, I'll give you another sort of a perspective here. So when we go into being a clear and perfect channel, and we all can work on this because we all are in our unique way a channel for creativity, whatever you want to call it. But with the understanding that since we exist on many dimensional levels, unseen dimensional levels, when we become a clear and perfect channel and present information on the physical plane, like in this interview, we're working on many different dimensional levels, and people will receive what they can receive on whatever dimensional levels they can receive it. And some people take time to open up to these other levels, but I learned a long time ago that if you hold the thought that whatever you give is given for eternity, it is. It's not just a one-time thing. So when you give love and blessings to people, places, things, events, circumstances, situations, that energy will last forever, because that's the nature of quantum. It's not, won't just last for like a couple of days and then that's it. Of course, unless you have that perspective, that's only going to last a couple of days. But if you hold the idea, the concept that what you give from your heart, what you give from love, lasts into eternity and affects as many levels of consciousness as you are able to channel it to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to go too quantum out here, but I guess one of the other questions that I have and that I've been playing with is timeline with this work. And you just said, okay, it doesn't matter, it doesn't stop. You begin it, you change, and then it's like evolution. It just keeps growing, or sustainability. One of the things that I kind of have questioned in dreams and things like that, and things that I think are true, are, the weird things. And it's like, was I once a dragon, right? And was that maybe in the future timeline, not the Earth timeline? And I just, more out of curiosity, would like to hear your thoughts on that, because I know that you can kind of go anywhere in these conversations.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. Regarding our mythology and what we consider not real, like mythology, daydreaming. But if you study the mythology of all cultures, it's very symbolic, but it's also very actual. And just because we don't have dragons on the earth plane now doesn't mean that they never existed. They exist on their dimension, and they're not like what we portray them in movies as. They're actually very beautiful beings. They're like devas. You really can't categorize those levels of consciousness, but we try to humanize these archetypes and whatnot. So dragons do exist on higher dimensions. They exist in your future, your past, parallel realities or timelines. And you can work with dragons, unicorns, fairies. You can work with beings that are very hard to describe from other systems. in a way that brings healing and comfort to people. So one of the things that dragons do, and I have a good friend that's really into dragons. You could say she's an incarnation of dragon energy. Dragons are very powerful beings, and they work with clearing the atmosphere. They work with moving energies. They are profound healers in their own right. They can be very illuminating. Think of dragons as more like spirit beings that can morph and change shapes and forms. They don't always look like how they're portrayed. Yeah, and you can ride on dragons. But look at it this way. Your imagination was something that Source gave you, gave all of us, this power to imagine our realities. So many people think, well, you know, imagination, that's not really real. And medicine doesn't believe in imagination. But it's very real. In fact, without that ability, that capacity, we probably would not be able to create very much at all. So if you go into this idea that our imagination is very powerful, it's a creative force. And so in any realm, beings can create different life forms and experiment. And that's what we call evolution. Better stop there now.
No, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we as children until the age of 7, we had this like opened imaginative mind. I mean, that is one of those innate things that have been kind of brought away from us. And I feel like playing with these like magical archetypes does add to our life, even as older adults or just adults. And I just, felt like I've never really asked you that question. Let's play in that realm. And as we create, and work through these blessings, and I know you're going to give us a playful receiving blessing today. I just thought, let's tap into some of these other frequencies to see if these other frequencies can contribute as well. So I just also, anybody on the line, if you do have a question or some energy that's coming up or thoughts, please feel free to ask your questions and contribute. This is an interactive type of call. That is why we're doing it live. So I would love for you to, anything that's coming through that can add or contribute, I'd love for you to bring it in today. John West says, love it. How do we free ourselves of the chains of limitation to our imagination? It's a great question. Bonnie replied, truthful relationships and personal currencies are best when aligned with mutual beneficial values. Kenji, do you have comments on either of those?
For John, you might want to go back in your imagination to that time where perhaps you shut down your imagination because someone told you that it wasn't real, or you've got to grow up and start not talking to rocks and trees and fairies anymore, because then people will think you're a little bit cuckoo. That was very common, by the way, and it could even have been an unsaid thought form from your parents or someone in your church or your first grade teacher, to where you shut it down because they said that you can't do that anymore because you got to grow up and grow up and be a 6-year-old. I see. Remember when you, in your life, where you saw a little kid talking to someone that wasn't there, or playing with a tree or a creek or something like that, and you knew within that you didn't want to interrupt that child, that you really wanted to support that child to stay open to that level? Well, that's what we're talking about. So if you can remember back, as a child being free, talking with nature, basically. If we could get back to that place, we could bring in so much more harmony within the world, believe it or not. Nature's here to support us and to help our healing. And she wants us to start re-talking to plants and flowers and trees and rocks and rivers and clouds and the air and the sunlight, all this stuff. Just imagine you have all these timelines, and on each timeline you have different realities of creation. We were designed to be in contact, in alignment with all those levels.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually taught to talk to flowers. I mean, like it helps them grow.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's a real thing,
Yeah.
and then, and I mean, I think that some of us that are really open to it feel like, yes, the trees are talking to me, the rocks, the gravel, the water, and it speaks. And I think Bonnie has it right on. She's like, healing that separation is the quest. I mean, it seems that we are born with that imagination / that awareness, and we have cut that off from being able to really receive from all things, talking about receiving.
Yeah, I like
Which
that.
makes me want to,
things. Yes.
yeah, which makes me feel like maybe the activation and quantum light weaving today that we play with is really receiving from everything, whether we think it's weird and queer, whatever we want to say, right? In all ways. So
We can look at it this way. Every dimensional level, if we want to put in the context of dimensional levels or realities or worlds or civilizations, is blessing creation on the highest levels. Each dimensional level is sending out blessings to all the other levels, of which we obviously are included. So if we can reimagine that we are being blessed 24/7 from the 5th dimension, the 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way through the 12th, 13th, etc., that can make a huge difference. And what is a blessing? Now that is, and the power of grace, that's a bit challenging to describe. But I can maybe say that a blessing is like a loving kiss from whom, or wherever it comes from, whatever dimensional level or beingness or civilization. In other words, remember when you were held by your mom, when you were a little baby, cradled? Blessings can feel like that, even as an adult. It could feel like you're being cradled in the womb of creation or the divine mother or whatever you want to call it, divine father. It's really what a blessing says is everything's okay and everything's going to work out and you're okay, and keep going and don't give up. Keep the faith and we love you.
yeah, it's more like adoration, from like all from beyond almost.
I've got to share this light language treatment I got from this radiologist when I was living in Seattle back in 2016. I signed up for a session, a light language session. I didn't know what that was. I mean, I knew what it was on some level because I can do it on these other levels, but not like on a physical level. And she was a medical doctor, right? And I go, wow, she's a medical doctor and she's doing light language and she's traveling through Seattle. So I signed up for a session and we went to the East West Bookshop in the back room there where they give lectures, closed off all the doors. And for about an hour, I sat in a chair and she was walking around me and she went into light language for the whole almost an hour. And all I did was have tears. That's all I could do. My body could do. It was just, I was just flowing with deep tears. And I felt so much appreciation, gratitude, and acknowledgement. And my mind, my conscious mind, had no idea what they were saying, but the energy that my body felt was one of being blessed, acknowledged, anointed, honored. Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience.
That brings up one time I was in my quest for greater greatness, I guess. I went to like a church type of group once, and they spoke in tongues. And it was the freaking coolest thing. Some of them you could tell were just trying to fake it, but the ones that just were like a clear channel for speaking in tongues, it was like quite epic. Although I think I was just so young there was a lot of rejection around it, but it was very, very cool. That sounds a little bit like the same kind of thing. It's neat.
Yeah, speaking in tongues from the religious perspective, yeah, that's very similar, if not the same, as light language. Yeah.
Abba asked, he said, how can you focus on your creation if you actually have an overactive creative idea world? Does that make sense? Like, how can we focus on our creations? And I guess he means this reality, or she.
I'm not thoroughly understanding the question, but maybe I'll answer it this way.
Okay.
Pick one creative project that you want to manifest and focus on that. When I was in my seeker days, and I spent many decades as the lone seeker, as the grasshopper, going from one place to another, could never settle down, could never hold a job, was always seeking something metaphysical, right? And so that I could have a job, because I knew that I couldn't work for a company or anybody else. I couldn't do it. What was my point? I forgot my point.
Overactive imagination and focusing on your creation.
So I would think of so many things that I could do that I couldn't really focus on one thing to do. In other words, there was so much creativity in my awareness that I couldn't choose like one or two things to focus on. So it became not necessarily overwhelming, but it's like, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. Well, where do I study this to do that? And it was like hopping back and forth. And but it was all regarding healing work, it was all regarding some aspect of healing, because as you know, generally healers get into the field, well, in part because they need to heal parts of themselves, but also they have a calling for that. And we should always honor our calling. So when someone asks me, well, why do you do what you do? Well, normally, in marketing strategy, you create this tagline, or you create this elevator speech or whatever, right? That's all fine and good at some point. But really, how I wanted to really answer that particular question is like, well, it's a calling I've had ever since I was very young. It's not something that I chose consciously to do. It's just something that was in my makeup that I had to do. So I went on my search because that was my calling. And we all have a calling. And if we don't have a calling, all we have to do is create the intention and refocus on asking for our calling to be known to us, to be shown to us, that it can be through any means, any level. People, places, things, events, placards, billboard signs, bumper stickers, TV commercials, you name it. So if you're open to messages from the universe, it'll come through in all these different levels, and it's pretty cool.
That's so cool. I feel like it's really important for us to even ask for, hey, universe, can you show me a sign?
Yeah.
And sometimes it actually comes in a sign form. And I think that it's also kind of interesting. We forget to like say, hey, what is my purpose? Like we forget to even ask that question. Yeah.
Well, what I tell people when they say, well, I really don't know what I want to do, or something like that, I say, well, think back to your early days. What did you do very well without any training that you love to do? And they would contemplate, right? And they would respond. And I say, well, you can do that. Even though you don't have any marketing degree or anything like that. Like when I started, I had no business sense whatsoever. I had no computer sense 24 years ago. I had no idea of the internet or how to do a computer or anything 24 years ago. But here I am. So I started from ground zero and just made my way up the ladder, so to speak. So when you have a calling and you go, okay, show me, universe, send me the people, send me what I can use to move into what I truly am here to do, it will come. And you have to be patient. But you also have to clear all the resistance to receiving. So I wrote an article, blog article back in, I don't know when it was decades ago, why people don't heal. And this was from my experience in teaching retreats and teaching quantum light weaving at the time. And so I put together a little article on the reasons why people don't heal or don't receive. And one of them is resistance. Another one is doubt, self-doubt. I had to work through a lot of self-doubt in my life. Maybe that was my big so-called karmic lesson, was doubting myself, doubting my abilities, doubting my knowing, doubting not so much who I am or what I am, but doubting my capacity to actually manifest my passion. But I kept with it. I didn't give up. So here we are today having this conversation.
Yeah, I think that that's almost part of the collective, that self-doubt, that I don't think I can doubt. It's and I think it's a lifetime journey to really get yourself into acknowledging yourself that, hey, if they can, maybe I can too. And I feel like it's an ongoing battle for so many people. So Kenji, are you ready to do an attunement and a quantum activation?
Well, we could do one. Okay.
Okay.
So as always, those of you that are maybe new to this energy, we always do, to the best of our ability, a spontaneous activation for the group or for clients or for students. So it's never made up. I don't go by an outline. I just move into that space of a clear and perfect channel, whatever that means. And then we bring it forth. So I always work with the guides. Highest frequency guides are something that you can intend every day. You can't go wrong with invoking your highest frequency guides. And by the way, we don't use guides from the collective astral plane. It's always minimum from the fifth dimension onwards, so to speak. Okay, so we're going to just ask everyone, live and on replay, to just move into that place of the here and now through breathing. A very gentle, long and slow and deep breath in and then out. And reimagine your body becoming very relaxed, your nervous system moving into stillness and peace and calm, perhaps into a very deep theta, delta, or even gamma brainwave state. You're letting go of the day. You're letting go of all the chaos in the world. You're letting go of your to-do list. You're letting go of everything, people, places, and things. So you're going to create a very clear space that we call your boundaries. And just simply do a very short prayer that you are invoking sacred space. Wherever you are physically, that you are creating sacred space in your home, in your car, in your room, wherever you are out in nature. And let's reimagine as like a little kid before it got programmed and before it got imprinted. Let's reimagine the knowingness of your inner child, your little one. At that time, that was free of all constructs, limitations, concepts. And let's re-feel as we reimagine our innate connection with all of life, including nature, including the cosmos, including your star system where you came from, including your starseed group. And just for a moment, allow the body to re-experience that connection. And let this feeling of connection go very deep, bypassing all your levels of unconscious resistance, fears, phobias, doubts. And allowing your brain now to reactivate to that knowing, allowing your sacred heart to reignite that knowing, allowing your sacred womb space, your sacral chakra, to be reimagined back to its original template of divine balance and harmony between the masculine and feminine polarities. And to reimagine your innate connection with nature through your feet chakras to the new earth. And refocusing on your rainbow bridge, your Antakarana. It is your body's connection to source, your rainbow channel. And let's reinforce your rainbow to source, to make it stronger, to reimagine it back the way it was before the collective distortion occurred on this planet. And to revisit all those times, whether in past lives or in early childhood, where you had divine experiences, where you had ecstatic experiences, joyful experiences, blissful experiences, where you had your out-of-body experiences. And let's take that knowingness now, that knowing, and breathe it back into the body from the higher dimensions. So deep breath, anchor it into the solar plexus, anchor it into actually all your chakras. Below your feet, above your crown, all around you. And imagine now that you are asking to receive the most divinely inspired blessings from creation into your body, into your life, into your career, into your relationships, into your body. the most beautiful blessings through grace ever imaginable. Breathe it into your body. Breathe it down into the earth. Breathe it into the heavens. Send it to all of your family members, your friends, your clients, your students, your soul group. And proclaim and declare deep within the Lord God of your being that you are now choosing to replace all fear with love, to replace all anxiety and worry with joy, and all sadness and grief with bliss. Breathe deeply, deep inner peace, coming from the core of not only your being, but from the heart of creation. Breathe in the vibration, the consciousness of deep, eternal peace, deep into the body. And now, simply allow a gentle, natural integration. Allow the energy that knows to integrate very gently and naturally in divine right timing into all parts of your embodiment, your mind, your emotions, your spirit, your soul. And move into the knowing that you are divine creator manifesting in form, and that you are the power of the word made manifest in this world. So it is. Again, whatever comes up thought-wise and emotionally, just let it be. Nothing to do, let it be. Be aware, surrender, receive. And remember to drink water always after activations, for it will help the cells of your body to integrate these higher frequencies. So when you're ready, slowly open the eyes. And if you need to take notes, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just be in the state, enjoy. And give us feedback as you are able. We always appreciate sharing some feedback. Okie dokie.
Wow. It's so funny how the whole call shifts during those activations. I mean, they're truly, it's like zoned out. So thank you. All right, Kenji, I know you have a special offer, and I'm gonna put it in the chat, and just looking at some of the comments already. And oh gosh, you guys, this is just such a joy when I see like deep peace. It's just really, really a joy seeing your comments on that activation. Here's the link. Nope, not there. I'm too blissed out to like do any technology.
Yeah, good
All
luck.
right.
You want me to describe the package?
No, here you go. You guys, if you, I can share it on my screen, but I wanted to put the link in the chat first.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and open this up, and Kenji's going to go ahead and share this very, very different special offer. It was, I first like was, I put it together myself, I put it online and everything. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is actually very, very different. And so, and then I started to listen to it. And I was like, this is incredibly, incredibly different in comparison to a lot of the other offers. And it goes on through, it takes you on a journey through your entire body, like your physical, your emotional, your mental, your spirit body. It releases pain and healing. It really uplifts you to like a whole new level, just like you got in the last 15 or 20 minutes during that activation. It clearly is something that was almost created as it was being channeled. I mean, it was like Kenji, I feel like you just got out of your way, you surrendered and you said, okay, universe, let's go. And that's almost what I get from this program and package. Um, Kenji, can you see my screen? Do you want to go through and kind of tell them what they'll experience in each of these intensives?
Okay, let me go to my copy, my PDF.
Okay.
Let me see. So I have to minimize my view, I think. Okay, so let me go to my PDF. Okay, here's a brief overview of the blessing series. And I did this because my clients at the time, wow, they're all going through all kinds of stuff, right? And I thought, all right. So that idea came to me to create a comprehensive package that would address all these different levels so they could have it in one package. So anyway, Kenji presents a comprehensive and thorough overview and application on how to receive the blessings for all areas of your life: money and finances, health and wellness, self-esteem and receiving, career and life transitions, relationships, the archetypes and role models, and much more. This is a powerful advanced series that is a must for your spiritual library. Its effects are ongoing and cumulative over time. Now, most people do not realize what that word means, cumulative. It's very powerful, that word. What that word means is every time you re-listen to, say, an activation, you're going to get more, and those benefits add to the previous benefits that you got from the prior listings. So each subsequent listening produces more beneficial effects over time. So it's a little bit like a snowballing effect, right? Where the snowball gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hillside. So benefits are like that. They build up over time. And some of the neat things that, or actually it's kind of unique and a bit weird in a way. People used to tell me that they don't know how they changed. They just changed. They're different. So really, that's all that matters. So you may not be able to explain how you're different, why you're different, any of that stuff. The energy will change you if you allow it. There's an old saying.
Sometimes you don't even notice that you're different.
That's true. And sometimes people have no idea that they've shifted until someone tells them, well, okay, you're really different. You're not doing this thing that you used to do. And those buttons that used to get pushed by other people in you, they're not being activated anymore. Like, what are you doing different? Anyway, so this series teaches you experientially how to receive and embody the quantum state that comes from the power of grace. Always drink water after each activation. Daily or weekly listening is recommended until complete. So just briefly, part 1, physical, emotional, mental, and soul body work. We address the blessings that come into those areas. We actually did a welcoming call, an introductory call. And then the first the first activation is the physical body and building strength. That's very important, especially now. So we brought in the blessings energy for building the body up. Activation to the emotional body and building balance. Very important that your emotional body has balance, or you're going to be wishy-washy and go to extremes. You'll get bipolar, you'll get ADHD and all those symptoms, right? And very important that you maintain emotional balance. The mental.
And let me just say something about this one.
Yeah.
It's really about you being very present, is what I've noticed. That it's about you really being able to focus on what you're about to do next.
Yes.
In each moment. And so I'll add a few things here and there along the way.
Okay. Activation 3, the mental body and building harmony. And again, very important that your mind space be in harmony. Now, we're not going to tell you exactly how we brought in these blessings energies. We don't want to give away the store before the product, in a sense, right? Okay, activation 4, the soul body and activating illumination. Well, what I think we're doing there was we're reactivating what's already there in your soul body. And then
that
2.
One's really about it, intuition, like really awakening your intuition, growing your intuition.
Oh yeah, there's a silver cord thing in here, that one too. And then part 2, money, identity, career, and relationships. Welcoming call. Okay, and then we go into money and success, everybody's favorite, right? Money and success. Then we did identity and self-empowerment. That always has to do with be able to manifest, period. Your self-esteem. Career and spiritual growth. That will help bring clarity to your purpose, your life purpose, if you feel you don't exactly know where you want to go in your next step. Activation 4, right relationships and intentions, very important. Okay, part 3, the victim, prostitute, the inner child, and saboteur. These are the 4 major archetypes that Carolyn Mace explains in her beautiful work on archetypes. So I had the inspiration to do these 4 archetypes to help people to not be affected by these archetypes. The victim, the saboteur, the wounded inner child, and the prostitute. And then part 4, the healer, teacher, ambassador, initiator. So we brought in the blessings for the healer, that's activation 1, the teacher, and then the ambassador and the initiator. Most people are not at that initiator level yet, but many are of the healer and teacher. Not so many with the ambassador level yet. Okay, so that's it. We suggest that you do 1 activation per week, and you can do that same activation every day for 1 week before you go to the next one. Don't skip around, because there's an order to these activations. That's what I was given way long time ago, that there is like an evolution of these activations for people. So it's best not to jump around, but to do them in order that it was presented. Okay, Jeneth, let me get back to Zoom here. Okay.
And you guys, I mean, Kenji put this together as a live series, and it's worth over $700. He's giving you this incredible offer today at 111. So if this calls you and you just want to practice with Kenji, or you want to sleep with Kenji every night, that would be your way of doing that. So if this is something that you're called to, this might be something that you really invest in. So with that said, Kenji, what any other closing remarks for this call?
Only if somebody has a question they want me to respond to, you can put it in the chat, I suppose.
Okay, so go ahead and ask questions in the chat, you guys. And Bonnie said, finding and just reading the descriptions is enlightening. Well, it really was. I mean, it seems that you just kind of went through and you might have even channeled the words for the write-up of that. Because that's when I started putting it together and putting it online. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to listen to this. And and this is something that you told me earlier. This isn't something that you just like make your way through and then go to the next course. This is something that becomes a part of your lifestyle, something that is cumulative. They're all MP3 recordings, and there's 12 of them. And I think that there's 12. There's 12 or more, unless you include the welcome call.
No, I think
it's a little more with the welcome call.
I think there's at least 16.
Okay. So there's 16, you guys. 16.
At least 16.
Yeah.
It's important. See, we have this habit, right? The spiritual community has this habit of jumping from one place to another and speeding through these courses without really immersing yourself in it because they want to finish it, right? So this is a package where you don't want to finish it. It's really, think of it as, it could be your guide for the rest of your life. You could listen to this package every year. In fact, that would be a good idea. You listen to this package every year, starting every January, you would set the energies for the whole year for yourself.
Yeah. You don't have to download them. You can listen on just your phone with clicking the link to answer one of the questions. But I would actually think that you might want to download it and kind of have it just available to you if you're on a plane or what have you. So that, I hope that answers your question with that.
Wouldn't they need to have a Dropbox app or something like that for the download?
No, it's actually it's an MP3 link.
Yeah.
Direct link. So yeah. I mean, you can listen in Dropbox though, even too. If you have put everything in that app, you can listen there too.
I would suggest listening to activations out in nature with earbuds. That would be probably the most profound way to receive these activations, with earbuds or headphones out in nature, like sitting against a tree or on a big granite rock or in a meadow or in a forest or next to a little creek or a river.
Yeah.
Even on the beach.
Work on your receiving while you're there. Yeah. Absolutely. Fabulous. I wonder if people got the time mixed up. I just had another 4 people join us. So if you guys see people coming in, any other questions you have? Any other questions that you have for Kenji today as we wrap up this call? This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, Kenji. Thanks for
You're welcome.
Making this work. All right, you guys. It's truly been a joy to hang with you today, and happy shopping, happy Black Friday. I just want to remind those of you that haven't maybe been on a call like this. This is a part of my series, Creators Mastermind Haven. And within the haven, so to speak, there is a really cool way for you to not just be on these calls, but to ask ahead of time to make sure your questions answered during the calls. I'm also putting together you can't even buy these special gifts from each of our speakers. So if you are kind of a quantum light weaver yourself and you just like listening to various different speakers, you might want to consider getting the Creator Mastermind Haven VIP pass. It's a one-time price, and you just kind of keep getting rewarded each time I have a new speaker, which will eventually be once a week, especially come 2024. So if that's something that calls you, look for emails for that. I call it the VIP pass. I really want to grow this audience, this group, and continuing just going down these deeper quantum journeys for my own exploration, as well as with some of these truly enlightened speakers and luminaries and things like that. So that calls you, look for a link for that in various emails. It's often around the footer and things like that. So, all right, you guys, I guess I'm going to call this a wrap. This is on my YouTube channel. If you want to listen again, feel free to just go over there and listen. It won't always be up live, but I think I'm going to leave it up live for the next 3 weeks. So if you do want to listen, it's there. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com/HeyJeneth. And I'll put it also in the chat here if you want to grab it real quick. If you go under the live section, then you can go ahead and rewatch, re-listen. Also, a link to the special offer is there. All right. Well, I guess that's a wrap.
Loved it.
All right. Namaste to you all, and we will see you soon. All right. Bye.